The process of translation involves first introduction, the relation of translating to translation theory, the third approach, the fourth textual level, the referential level, the cohesive level, the level of naturalness. Combining the four levels, the unit of translating, the translation of text, the translation of properties, revision, and conclusion. Well, the first one, the introduction. My description of translation procedure is operational. It begins with choosing a method and approach. Secondly, when we are translating, we transfer with four levels more or less conceptually in mind. The SL text level, the level of language when we began one which continually but not continuous go back to. Number two, the referential level. Three, the curiosity level. And number four, the naturalness of common language appropriate. Well, then we have the relation of translating to translation theory. It is the purpose of this theory of translating is to be of service to the translator. It is designed to be a continuous link between translation theory and practice. It derives from translation theory framework which propose that when the main purpose of the text is to convey information and convenience to the reader, a method of translation must be natural. Well, we have the approach. Translation is something that has to be discussed in too many schools and universities. It's still being imposed as an exercise in valid English styles where the words of the original are ignored. The teacher more or less imposed a fair copy which is model of his own English rather than proposing a version for discussion and criticisms by students, some of whom will be brighter than he is. Well, we have the textual level. Working on the text level, you intuitively and automatically make certain conversations. You transpose the ESL grammar classes and groups into the ready TL equivalents, and you translate the lexical units into the sense that appears immediately appropriate in the context of the sense. Then we have the referential level. You should not read a sentence without seeing it on the referential level, whether a text is technical or literary or institutional. You have to make up your mind summarily and continuously what is about, what is said of it, what's the right particular stand on it. The referential goes hand in hand with the textual level. All language have polysemous words and structure which can be finally solved only on the referential level, beginning with a multipurpose overloaded prepositions and conjunctions through diligent participles. The cohesive level. Beyond the second factual level of translation, there is a third, a generalized level linking the first and second level, which you have bear in mind. This is cohesive level. It follows both the structure and the moods of the text. The structure through the connective words like conjunctions, enumerations, reiterations, definite article, general words, referential synonyms, punctuation marks, linking the sentences, usually proceeding from now information thing to new information. We have the level of naturalness. We have the steps to follow, the word order, common structures, cognate words, the appropriate of gerunds, infinitives, verb nouns. The fact is, SL expression is not old-fashioned or redefined is irrelevant since you translate into the modern target language. However, if such expressions appear in a dialogue and are spoken by middle-aged early characters, then a corresponding refined translation is appropriate. The cohesive level follows both text structure and moods of the text. you have to I'm going to talk about also about combining the four levels. We have to combine the four levels like textual level, referential, cohesive, and natural. It's this is as a step at accuracy as well as naturalness, and in the case of these combining four levels, we have to take account of pragmatically between the sentence and the words in order to make a good translation. We have the unit of translating. Normally we translate sentence by sentences, not breath verb by breath verb, running the risk of not paying attention enough to the sentence joins. If the translation of a sentence has no problems, it is based firmly on literal translation and of versatile plus virtually automatic and spontaneous transposition of shapes change the word. The translation of lexis, um, basically we have to bear in mind that many common nouns have four types of meaning: physical or material, figurative, technical, colloquial. Thus in this chart you can notice the relation between all the terms and all that common of nouns. We have the translation of proper names. Basically, in the period between translation and revision, you should not lose sight of the linguistic problems of the text. I mean, you have to notice in translation of proper names about geographical terms, trademarks, street and squares, bills, letters, fairy tales, that are proper names. And revision. During the final revision stage of translating, you constantly try to pare down your revision in the interest of elegance and force, and at the same time allowing some redundancy to facilitate reading and ensuring that no substantial sense component is lost. Many translators say you should never translate words, you translate sentences or ideas or messages. I think they are fooling themselves. The SL text consists of words. That is all that is there on the page. Finally, you have that words to translate, and you have to account for each of them somewhere in your translation language text, sometimes by deliberately not translating them. And that's all that involves the process of translating.